Consumables.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Townie Sports Network here at Pierce Stadium in East Providence, Rhode Island for the annual intra-city game between Martin Jr High School and Riverside Junior High School. Standing with both head coaches, and we turn to this year's visiting team, head coach Frank DeVal from Martin Jr High School. Frank, great year, undefeated ball club, and Martin Riverside every year, it doesn't get any better than this.
You can spell out the records during this game. This game's more played on emotion than anything else. And that's what I've been trying to get across to the kids all week, is that you never take any team too lightly, and no team ever from your own town. They'll come up and bite you.
You have had a great season. You've had a couple of good seasons in a row. You're really in line for the junior high state championship.
I would hope so. I think if the guys stay focused over the next 2 weeks and they do the job that they're supposed to do, I think we'll be all set.
And of course, the point of all of this is Martin and Riverside will feed East Providence, and that helps Townie football.
Well, the best thing about trying to teach these kids this week was to tell them that next year they're going to be on the same field together. I took last week's game against LaSalle as more of a rivalry than this game here. This game to me is a game in which, it's a pivotal game every year, but it's something more of a crossing of the guard, where these guys are going to go on to playing in high school together and working together as teammates.
Well, Frank, congratulations to you, Don Lurgio, your assistant, and the great Wildcats from Martin Jr High School. We're going to turn now to the head coach for Riverside Vikings, the home team for this game, Coach Fred Ferrara. Coach, Riverside's on a high, a couple of great wins, and it's been another good year of Townie football down in Riverside.
I'll tell you, these bunch of kids are the most enthusiastic bunch I've had in a long time. They're very excitable, very emotional. And the last couple of games that we have been played on that kind of emotion. And I know that these kids out here are going to give it their best shot. I know they're going against a very good, great football team, and hopefully we can stay with these guys. We're going to give it everything we have today, and hopefully that, they'll be able to walk out of here with their heads high.
You've been coaching a lot of years. What does the Martin Riverside tradition mean to you? It's certainly a great rivalry, and again, as I said to Frank, it feeds East Providence High School.
Great emotional rivalry. This game is played in emotion, and the kids are going to go up in the high school for the next 3 years. They're going to walk in that locker room and they're going to say, hey, we beat you, or you beat us, or they're going to kid one another. This game is going to be a memory for them, but hopefully it'll be a good memory for them.
Well, this is going to be a great game. We hope you enjoy watching it. Frank DeVal, Fred Ferrara, shake hands, come out fighting. And pretty soon we're going to speak with Mr. Levine before we start the game. Before the game starts, we're chatting for a moment with Mr. Howard Levine, wearing a couple of hats today, principal of Riverside Junior High School, and of course, longtime teacher and administrator at the former Central Junior High and Martin Junior High School also. And he is in charge of all junior high football for the state of Rhode Island. So you're sort of the tournament director, Howie, and more importantly today, it's your Riverside Vikings against Martin, a great city tradition. Goes back many a year.
Yes, this is it's actually a classic for junior highs, because no matter who plays, it's developmental. We hope no one gets injured, and the real winner is the high school varsity coach, because he gets the best of both teams.
Yeah, exactly. I think a couple of years ago, Riverside sent Buddy Rogers to the high school. Yep. Martin sending some players. The high school is lucky to be fed by two great junior high programs.
Right, and this game gives the kids from both teams a chance to play on the field they'll be playing on, which they don't usually do. They play behind the high school, or they play behind Riverside Junior High.
Okay, well, Howie, congratulations to you. Great job. I know everyone in the state looks up to you and appreciates your neutrality and fine job that you do. What final words of encouragement do you give to your Riverside Vikings? They're the underdog today, but they're on a high.
Well, I know I tried to tell them just to save it for the field, and not too high in the school or the locker room or the bus. Just save it for the field and to be fair.
We're set for the kickoff. Bob Dre is on the camera today. We're looking out at the field now. The captains are getting instructions from the officials. And pretty soon we'll have junior high football, East Providence.
Pros, Ravens. Yeah, we don't have any Seagulls. It was the Ravens.
Eric Carlson with the ball for the Vikings. Returns the ball beyond the 35-yard line. And the Vikings will come out on offense first. Riverside wearing the red jerseys, the white pants. Martin in all white with the blue numerals on the jerseys. Great tradition, Martin, Riverside Junior High football. Bob Rodericks, number 11, quarterbacking, Riverside, set to take the snap. Straight ahead for a couple of yards is Paul Mendence. Mendence wears number 40, does a lot of the rushing for the Vikings. Keep in mind that Martin Junior High being twice the size of Riverside, the numbers are greater on the Martin side of the field, and Riverside doing a good job this year. Second and about 9, and motion on the field. Let's wait for the official's call. It appears that it will be against the Wildcats from Martin, and Riverside will pick up 5 yards on the penalty.
Didn't even move that 5 yards. No. You moved about 3.5.
So we've got a second and, about 4, it should be. Rodericks handing off to Mendence. Paul getting the ball to the 45-yard line. We'll wait for the official spots, and it looks like fumble on the play. I didn't pick up at the time, and Martin has recovered. So right off the bat, a good break for Martin Junior High, recovering the Riverside fumble. Not what Coach Ferrara and Coach Daft of Riverside want to see happen early in this ball game. Brian Amaral, number 12, is a quarterback for Martin Junior High. Straight ahead dive, Mike Lincoln. And there's a loose ball on the field. It appears that Martin has recovered it. Justin Rocha for Martin, wearing number 86 on the recovery. So Martin, early in the game, forging ahead close to the Riverside 30-yard line. Amaral looks around the field, shouts out the instructions as he takes the snap, and it's a quarterback keeper straight ahead, picking up a yard or 2. Martin will have a second and, we'll call it about 7, make it 8 yards. Amaral pitches back. Bob Fatorma still on the loose for Martin. Flags all over the field. Fatorma getting around the end and across the 25-yard line. And we'll wait and see for the official's call. So that one will be coming back, as it should be a clipping penalty against Martin. Our thanks again to Joe Medeiros, Pierce Field, here today, getting the field in tip-top shape and helping us with the broadcast. Bob DeWatt, high school coach, official teacher, here with us today, operating the scoreboard. Bob, good to see you. It's always great to have this annual game.
Oh yeah, there's a big rivalry here between Martin and Riverside, and it should be a good game.
Martin undefeated, heading towards a state championship. Riverside coming off 2 big wins, a 5-touchdown performance against Tiverton, and then beating Barrington before that. Amaral back to pass. Lofts it. Nembhard wide open. Has the reception. Heading in for the Martin Jr High touchdown. Andre Nembhard, tailback for Martin, pulling in the, I guess that's about a 61-yard touchdown play for the Wildcats, who get on the scoreboard first, leading 6-0 over Riverside. Martin, capitalizing on the Riverside fumble early in the game, has scored first. Amaral takes a snap from Rosa. In for the conversion. I believe that was Mike Lincoln. I'm not sure. I think it was number 13, the fullback, Mike Lincoln. And Martin jumps out to an 8-0 lead early in the first quarter. Bob, obviously Martin, the heavy favorites here. Riverside having an off year, but coming on strong the last 2 games. Riverside scoring 5 touchdowns against Tiverton, and you never know. They may make a game of this as they did last year.
Well, usually in this type of game where you have an intercity rivalry like this, that records and opponents don't really make a difference. Usually it's a tight contest. So Martin gets up quick. So we'll see what happens.
Tony Robertson set to kick off for Martin. Good long kick picked up by Eric Carlson at about the 18. Carlson advances the ball to the 30-yard line, and Riverside will try once again their second offensive series.
This is the guy heading the clinic, huh? Yes, son?
Yeah. He's good. He doesn't have a long going on, but he's good head for the game.
Oh, so, as long as he likes it, he wants to learn. Is he 8th grader?
Ninth.
9th grade?
Danny Lopez set to snap the ball to Bobby Rodericks. 1st and 10.
30.
Bobby Almeida on the carry for Riverside for a very short gain. Call it a 2nd and 9 for the Vikings. The young crowd continues to pour into the stadium. It's always a fun-filled game. Scott Schiaffino, wide receiver to the near side. Mendence ahead for a few more yards. Riverside will have a 3rd and 6.
Riverside looks just to be pounding the ball at Martin, looking for a little crack or a little break here. So we'll see what comes of this.
Grinding it out on the ground. 3rd and 6. Rodericks gives out the play, and we've got some motion both sides of the line. Let's wait for the official's call, and it is against Martin.
It looks like the Martin defender violated the neutral zone, getting the Riverside guy to jump, but the call's going to go against Martin.
So now it's 3rd and 1 for the Vikings. Rodericks to Mendence. Mendence picking up the 1st down and getting close to midfield. Let's call it the 46-yard line officially. 1st down, Riverside. Paul Mendence doing probably the bulwark of the running game for these Vikings, along with Bobby Almeida. Quarterback Rodericks with good speed, and if he can break away and get to the end, He scored an 80-yard touchdown play against Tiverton last week. Rodericks with the option, going to keep it. Chip down from behind, picking up a short gain on the play. It'll be a 2nd and about 8. Jeremiah Francis coming to the near side. Back to pass. Rodericks looking for Francis. And it's complete at the 40-yard line into Martin territory.
That looked to be just a quick out there, and Rodericks hit him perfectly about the 40-yard line. A fine pass to, was that number 36? Francis, good catch, and kept one foot in bounds. Excellent catch.
Good play by Francis, indeed, to keep his feet, or at least 1 foot in bounds. Riverside with a 1st and 10 from the Wildcat 40.
Reverse.
Sort of a reverse, but not fooled,
25.
is number 25 for Martin, Barry Tuthill, bringing down, not sure if that was 36 for Riverside. A little difficult at times when we are broadcasting these games. We don't have much of a staff, or no spotters to help us. So I'm glad Bob Duarte is here today helping us out. And from time to time, we're going to miss a few numbers. But the Townie Sports Network here covering this ball game.
Offside.
And it looks like offside by Martin. Mike Krabari, a little bit too anxious, jumping in Riverside, getting 5 yards on the penalty. So we're back to a 2nd and 15. Score is 8-0 in favor of Martin. Rodericks looks around the field, calls the play, and again may have drawn Martin offside. So Riverside's quarterback using some head fakes. I don't know, Bob, you're the football coach. You tell me, is that what he's trying to do?
He's just trying to vary his cadence a little bit. Martin's a little anxious, and he went on looked like a 3 count that time, and he got him on the 2. So we'll see how this works out. But Riverside looking to try to hold on to the ball and keep that potent Martin Wildcat offense off the field.
2nd and 11 for Riverside. Ball back to the 40-yard line. The quick pass is complete to Jeremiah Francis. Francis getting a good 5-yard gain out of what probably could have been not much at all, Bob.
No, it was just a quick pass there and behind the line, so danger of a fumble there. But he broke a couple tackles, some sloppy Martin tackles, and he picked up about 5. Good play.
Third and 6. Scott Schifino to the near side in at wide receiver. Paul Mendez finding some room. Good hole. Still on the loose. Finally dragged down across the 29-yard line by Brian Amaral of Martin, and it's a Riverside 1st down.
Well, again, looked like just a straight wide dive there, and the Martin player looked to overrun it, and he broke for daylight, gaining a good 7 or 8 yards on the play. Good play by Mendez.
Yeah, I believe that was Mendez of Riverside. The Riverside kids are fired up. They knew they were underdogs against this great team from Martin. That may be the end of the first quarter of play, with Martin leading Riverside 8-0, but Riverside on the move. Bob, you know, I have to look at this game with maybe half a dozen hats that I'm wearing here. Townie Sports Network, and of course, Martin and Riverside, both schools that I really support. And, you know, the bottom line is, the goal here is we're going to feed Townie football, East Providence High School, and hopefully these kids will all stay put. I think we've been doing a good job, thanks to efforts of yourself and others, in keeping our good athletes in town.
Well, I think, but a lot of private schools in the area, and they heavily recruit in East Providence because that they know they can get some good athletes. And I think, like you said, though, we've kept a great deal of them in East Providence, so we looked at to grab a few more, hold on to them, and not let them loose.
Starting the second quarter, 1st and 10 for Riverside from the Martin 29. Bobby Almeida for the Vikings, picking up good yardage. Looks like another 5 yards, where it will be a 2nd and 5 for the Vikings. Scott Schifino bringing in the call from Coach Fred Ferrara. Scott Schifino wearing number 84. Spot the ball just inside the Martin 25-yard line. Rodericks with the option is going to keep it and is brought down by John Waite, the impressive lineman for the Wildcats.
Looks like Riverside here will have to go to a pass with 3rd and say 9 to go. We'll see what Coach Ferrara, maybe he's playing for a two downs here to get the first down.
Straight ahead is Paul Mendens on the dive, picking up, maybe a good 4 yards on the play or so, at least that. It'll be short of the first down. And let's see if Coach Ferrara goes for it. Bob DeWatt thinks that they will, and it will be a 4th and 4 for the Vikings.
Look for that same dive again, a wide dive to the left here, it looks like.
Pitch back to Mendens. He's going to be caught in the backfield by the Wildcats for a loss on the play, and Martin will take over 1st and 10. Paul Winston in on the initial tackle, along with Bob Fatorma of Martin. So Riverside, while sustaining a pretty good drive considering the odds in this ball game, still in the game, 8-0, Martin taking over.
Well, it looks like Coach Staff and Coach Ferrara want to keep the ball out of Martin's hands. That looks like their game plan, to keep them off the field as much as possible, and they held the ball quite a long time there. Just look for them to try to punch out, chip away at them and try to wear down the Martin defense.
Brian Amaral takes a snap, back to pass for Martin. Has a man wide open, and it's incomplete. Justin Rocha was the tight end who just got turned around on the play, Bob. Otherwise, he was looking at 6 points.
Yeah, look to me that he got behind the Riverside defenders. If he had stayed running, it looked like it was a pretty good pass. He just got himself lost a little bit where he was, and got a couple hands on it, but couldn't bring it down.
Carlos Rosa set to snap the ball for Martin. Brian Amaral, number 12. Bob Fatorma brought down. Matt Osmanski making the good tackle for Riverside. So Bob, if you take away that opening series fumble, I would be at a scoreless ball game. But Martin is an offensively powerful team.
Oh yeah, it looks that way. But whenever you give somebody the ball on the 40-yard line, you expect them to have a score. So if the Riverside can keep the ball, looks like they can.
The great pursuit by Riverside, but Amaral gets away from it. The pass is incomplete.
86,
For Justin Rocher was the intended receiver. Bobby Almeida putting some great pressure on Amaral and almost bringing him down. Amaral doing a great job to get away and throw the ball away. Justin Rocher will be punting away on 4th down. It appears that it's number 36, Jeremiah Francis, deep.
Legal procedure on Martin.
However, there has been a penalty, as Coach Bob DeWatt has detected. It's an illegal procedure penalty against Martin, which will back them up 5 more yards.
The center looked like he lifted, the officials explained to him that he lifted the ball up. The center can move the ball to get it to a snapping position. It looked like in an attempt to either to change, to maybe to get Riverside to jump, he lifted the ball up to try to get him to jump, but it was detected by official Chuck Vermette out there.
The punt is a great one. Riverside wisely letting the ball come to rest.
43 for Martin.
42 of Riverside. Oh, you mean the punter? Oh, Donald.
Riverside again will take over on offense, trailing here in the second quarter, 8-0.
It's 40.
Mendance for Riverside was brought down.
I think it's the same. It's just offense, defense,
Second and 7 for the Vikings. One of our rosters blew out of the window here. You may hear us lamenting about that in the background. A handoff straight ahead, no gain.
Like a fumble.
Maybe a loose ball, and in fact it is, with Martin recovering.
Well, looks to me like Riverside's starting to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit here. A couple fumbles and give them the ball at their at the Riverside 47. You can't give this Martin offense too many chances. You got to stop them and then try to score yourself.
Indeed, the fumble, the name of the game here early on, allowing Martin to take over inside Riverside territory, inside the 50. Amaral surveying the field, takes the snap, hands it off straight ahead to Mike Lincoln. Lincoln picking up a few good yards. Second and 5 for the Wildcats. Martin in the all-white with the blue numerals. Brian Amaral taking the snap at quarterback. With the option, Lotero pitches it back right into the hands of Dante Wiggins, number 17 for Riverside. He's across the 20, the 5, touchdown Riverside. Dante Wiggins, number 17, Bob, was in the right place at the right time.
Well, it looked like Amaral there tried to pitch the ball when he should have just held on to it. He had about 5 yards and had the first down, but then decided to pitch the ball and right into number 17 for Riverside, Wiggins' hands, and he returned it about 55 yards for a touchdown.
Riverside on the scoreboard, now trailing by 2. Will no doubt go for the 2-point conversion themselves. And a very spirited Viking team on the sideline, led by assistant coach Ed Daft and head coach Fred Ferrara. A 4-minute warning is now being issued to both benches by the officials. And one of the officials is no stranger to Townie football, Chuck Vermette. Pete Bassler also from East Providence. So an all Townie flavor here today as Rodericks set with the snap. Straight ahead, and it doesn't look like Riverside is going to get it.
Yeah, it looked like to me like a dive left, the play that bread and butter played tonight, and Martin was waiting for it.